everyone, I'm Fernanda, or you can just call me Chimmy. A while back, I did a video redesigning/reimagining Ayano and Osana from the game Yandere Simulator. I honestly thought that I'd only do one part, but recently I started thinking about it again, and especially about the 3 characters I'm redesigning in this video, who are known to be the most problematic and controversial. I've thought about ways to add them onto my reimagining, and so I hope you look forward to it. But first, I'd like to quickly announce that I actually have channel memberships now. I made a community post about it, but thought I'd mention it in a video too. When joining, you'll get a custom badge next to your name, member-only polls which will most likely be on future video ideas, and access to custom emojis as well. I set it at the lowest price, which was $149 a month, since I didn't want to charge anything too crazy. And so if you'd like to join the Chimmysins, you're more than welcome to. Get it? Chimmysins? Citizens? You guys are like the little Chimmysins to my Chimmyverse. I don't know, I thought it was cute. But also, please don't feel pressured to join. It's 100% optional and just something I thought I'd add for fun. And to the people who have already joined, thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. But alright, now that I've announced that, let's get into my redesigns. In my last video, I explained more about my reimagining of the game, and so I'd recommend seeing that one first if you'd like for things to make more sense. For these redesigns, I'm doing them in the order of the week that the rival appears in, which means that I'm starting with Muja Kina, who appears in week 6. She's a trainee nurse who's very clumsy and accident-prone. She originally started off as the actual school nurse but was later changed to be younger to make it more appropriate, I guess. Just like the next character I'll be talking about, her design is purely for fan service and I'm not the biggest fan of it. But before I go deeper into my reimagining of her, I feel like I should quickly explain the original Yandere Simulator game for those who may not know. Yandere Simulator is a game about a girl called Ayano Aishi who has a crush on a boy called Taro Yamada. She wants to confess to him, but there are 10 other girls who also like him that need to be eliminated before she does so. Muja Kina is one of these rivals, but in my reimagining of her, I didn't want to make her as fanservice-y as she is in the original game. I changed her uniform to be more accurate of an actual Japanese nurse uniform and tied her hair up into a bun. As for personality, I still kept her as a bit of an airhead, but not as much as she is in the game. It's stated that she usually causes more problems than solves them, which I don't think would be very good for a nurse in training, and so I'd probably tone it down a bit. In my reimagining, the week she first comes to Academy just so happens to be the week where Taro asks Budo to teach him a bit of martial arts in order to be more prepared against these attacks that have been happening at Academy these past few weeks. I don't think I explained this, but the way Yandere Simulator works is that each rival is introduced during a different week and you have to eliminate said rival within that week. And since this is week 6, that means that 5 rivals have already been eliminated, which in my reimagining has caused people to be more wary about their surroundings. In Taro's case, this made him want to learn more self-defense, which is why he went to Budo for help. Budo is a character in the game who's the leader of the martial arts club and is said to be pretty popular among students. Because of that, I'd imagine that he and Taro are pretty close friends, which is the reason he would agree to help him learn self-defense. Taro isn't very good at it though and ends up getting a few bumps and bruises along the way, which lands him in the nurse's office more than a few times. But since Taro's injuries aren't all that serious and just simple bruises, the head nurse leaves him to Muja, which is when their friendship would start. Taro would be Muja's first patient at Academy, and so she tried her absolute best to do a good job. And although she's pretty nervous, Taro's friendly and outgoing personality would help calm her nerves. She thought that that'd be the last time she sees him, but he continues practicing with Budo, which again would land him in the nurse's office. And so what started as just a normal nurse and patient relationship would develop into a friendship since they'd start seeing each other pretty often. Muja would feel the most comfortable around Taro and eventually he'd start visiting her and buying her snacks as a thanks for her continuous help. The start of this friendship is a huge problem to Ayano though, since she's convinced Muja's trying to steal Taro away from her. As for her elimination method, I think the best one for her would be to make it look like an accident. Since Muja was still a nurse in training and known to be a little airheaded, I imagine that Ayano would stage a scene to make it look like Muja died accidentally. This would of course devastate Taro though, and so I think it'd be pretty interesting to also have an option where you don't kill her but instead stage a scene to make Muja look like she doesn't know how to do her job and get her fired. A scenario could be switching a student's medication to a more dangerous one and having Muja give them the wrong one, which would cause that student to become sick and in turn get her removed from Academy. But I don't know, I'm not the best at coming up with these elimination methods, so if you guys have any more unique ones, I'd love to hear them. Next, I'm reimagining Mida Rana. She's a substitute teacher who appears on week 7 right after Muja. Her description says that she loves her job, that there's nothing she enjoys more than having tons of eyes directed towards her, especially if those eyes belong to teenage boys. I wish I was kidding. She's obviously made for fan service, but I just really don't like her, and so I changed her character quite a bit. Not so much design-wise, but definitely to her personality. For these redesigns, I usually draw the character in their original sprite pose, but I had to change Mida's. I just couldn't figure out a way to draw this pose and make it look normal, and so I kept her in a simple standing pose. Just like Muja, I kept the majority of her design the same but adjusted her clothing to make it more school appropriate. I did give her glasses though just because I thought they suited her. I also didn't want to change her body type since there's really nothing wrong with it. Being curvier or having a larger chest is not a bad thing. The real problem is that in the original game, it's purely used for fan service. In my reimagining of her, I'd have Mida 1, not be a creep, and 2, just be an actual teacher that genuinely enjoys her job. Like I mentioned earlier, she appears on week 7, so that's right after Muja. Since Taro had been spending most of his time learning self-defense, which in turn landed him in the nurse's office during the last week, his grades began to drop a bit because of it. It's nothing too major, but regardless, Mida offers to meet him after school and help him improve. Taro agrees since he hates the thought of falling behind, but of course, Ayano takes this as her trying to seduce him since she's asking him to meet her in private, and so she wants her eliminated. I was thinking that maybe one of the ways to eliminate her other than killing her could be by framing her instead to make her look bad. Although technically she could just wait for the actual teacher to come back since Mida is a substitute, it's never stated how long she'll be subbing for, and so I'll just say that the old teacher is on maternity leave or something, which means that Mida will be there for a while. Throughout the week, Ayano could slowly plant evidence with the end goal being getting Mida fired and away from Taro. And finally, we have the character who I definitely changed the most, Hanuko Yamada, who is Taro's sister. She appears on week 9 and although she is one of the 10 rivals, she doesn't actually have a crush on Taro. Her description says that she loves him but not in a romantic way. She just doesn't want him to ever get a girlfriend and abandon her. She wants all of his attention on her and she ends up transferring to Academy on week 9 to be with him at all times. Although she technically doesn't have feelings for him, I still don't like how possessive she is and I can see why she's a controversial character. In my version, I'd keep her bubbly personality but definitely change how attached she is to her brother. Just like in the game, she would originally attend a different school and transfer during week 9. The reason's different though. I mentioned in my first Yandere Simulator video that in my reimagining, Osana would be the last rival you have to eliminate and would start suspecting Ayano after starting to place the pieces together. Taro won't listen to her though since he thinks Ayano's just a bit socially awkward and that she'd never do anything like that. So then Osana would confide in Hanuko about her theory, which would worry Hanuko enough to transfer to Academy in order to help prove Osana's theory and to make sure her brother's safe. It's stated in Hanuko's profile that she and Osana have been friends since they were children, and so I'd like to explore their friendship more during this week. But now I'd like to talk about her design since it's definitely the one I've changed the most. I said in my last video I wasn't going to redesign Taro since in the game you can actually customize him to fit your interests, but since he and Hanuko look pretty similar, I decided to go ahead and make a quick drawing of my redesign of him. I wanted to change his and Hanuko's appearance pretty drastically since I feel like they looked a little too similar to Ayano. There's nothing wrong with simpler designs, but in this case I just feel like it would fit Ayano more. I gave both Taro and Hanuko tanner skin and kept their hair dark but leaned it more towards a brown color. I also kept her white tights and heart hair clips since they're pretty much the only accessories she has and I wanted to keep at least something from her original design. I put her in the same uniform I gave Ayano and Osana and also kept her pigtails but placed them lower. And just for fun, I gave both her and Taro curlier hair. In the beginning, I couldn't really figure out how I wanted Ayano to eliminate Hanuko as a rival, since it said that if anything were to happen to her, that Taro's sanity would greatly decrease, and so because of that, the player's goal in the game is to match up Hanuko with someone who feels like an older brother to her. Yeah, I hate that too. But eventually, I thought of something that I think would work pretty well. Since Ayano wouldn't be able to kill Hanuko, I think it'd be pretty interesting for her goal to be to befriend her instead and turn her against Osana. Throughout the week, Ayano would make Osana look bad and make herself look like just a misunderstood victim who just wants Taro to be safe. She'd confide in Hanuko about her feelings for him and would tell her that she's just really nervous to talk to him, which is why she keeps her distance and watches him from afar. Hanuko would be doubtful at first, but thanks to Ayano's schemes on making Osana look like the unreasonable one, she would eventually side with her. Just like in my version of Taro, Hanuko would want to see the best in everyone, which is why she would eventually sympathize with Ayano. She'd feel bad for thinking she could ever do something so horrible, and so after a week, she would also try and convince Osana that she's gotten Ayano all wrong. And so those are my redesigns of Yandere Simulator's most controversial characters. Did you like what I did with them? I hope so, since I had a lot of fun fitting them into my reimagining, and I really hope that I was making sense throughout it. I honestly don't know if I'll end up making more parts since I really don't know anything about the other rivals, but you never know. I mean, that's what I thought about the last video, and look where we are now. Also, can we just take a moment and appreciate all this beautiful fan art I've received? Oh my gosh, you guys are so talented! Thank you, thank you! I really do hope you guys enjoy this video, stay safe, and as always, I hope you have a great day.